All right, everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil. We got a ton of news yesterday. Characters that are farmable. We got some updates to the game. Satele Shan, we got her as the next Conquest unit confirmed. Maul, kit reveal, which looks really solid. Updates to existing characters to pair better with Satele Shan. Just a lot of stuff. New Datacron set. Again, this has been always one of my complaints at times, and I don't think it's always just Meathead's fault, but we get so much stuff all at once, and it's really hard to digest it, or things kind of fall through the cracks. And I would say one thing with this new era system that I've kind of not liked as well is like the characters that we have here with these era units. You're like, all right, I'm supposed to learn all of them, and then I have to like relearn them, because right now I'm using them together, and then in a couple of, in a month or two, I'm gonna have to learn how to use them inside of their specific teams. So that was one thing that I've been looking at here that I'm not as big of a fan of. And it's just, something that I was thinking about that I wanted to kind of just throw in here as we're looking at all of this stuff. So a lot to cover. I'm not going to get into the kit reveals per se. I do want to cover a few highlights, talk about some of the things that I'm noticing, and how all of this impacts you, particularly if you are in the early to mid game, where there are some major implications to some of the things that they did. So like, subscribe, comment down below. Let's get in here and let's talk about just all the craziness around SWGO right now. All right, so the first thing I did want to just mention is Satele Shan, right? Satele Shan, I am so excited we're getting Satele. She is an awesome character from the Old Republic era of Star Wars. If you've never seen, there are trailers for the Old Republic game with Malgus and Satele, and they are sick. They are awesome. Like literally better than any of the movies that Disney has created. Maybe Rogue One might, be, but those cinematic trailers are so sick. I love it. She is a Grand Arena character, so she's got Grand Arena Omicrons. She is a leader for Old Republic and particularly Jedi, with a 50% max protection and offense doubled for Old Republic Jedi. What's really nice about that is there are 5 Old Republic Jedi between Juhani, Revan, Satele Shan, and then Jolee. However, noticing that Territory Wars, Juhani is meant to go with, the Stranger Starkiller team. And that's where we got a massive update to Mission, where her Zeta now turned into an Omicron. So if you had the Zeta, you got a free Omicron for Territory Wars that gives her the Jedi tag if Zalbar, she gains the Jedi faction tag. And if Zalbar is not an ally, Mission's abilities consider the leader to be Zalbar. So now, if you're using that Satele lead in Territory Wars with Satele, Revan, Satele Shan, Jolee, and Mission, she's going to treat Satele as if she was Zalbar. That's really cool. I love that. Really solid update on their part. And even noticing here, guys, this Omicron is applicable even if it's not Satele. It just says if the leader is Jedi. So if you are an early to mid-game player, you've got Jedi Knight Revan, you have, Mission, this is a really good team that you could probably put, whether offensively or defensively, and get some decent work out of. So I really liked that they sort of made that Omicron a lot more, what's the wording here? Versatile. That it's not just specifically, okay, it has to be Satele. It could be Jedi Knight Revan. Heck, it could be Satele Shan if you wanted. I really, really thought that was a great addition and update to the game for a faction that has kind of really been just kind of existing on the outskirts. To get a character to bring them to life will be very cool. I'm really, really excited to see how she impacts the meta in about 3.5 months here. Speaking of, that conquest for her, I'm going to switch over to the screen capture here just to show you guys kind of the, the feats. And just high level, what I noticed is a few of these feats are like doable with, like one of the things CG at times had done more recently, I felt, was kind of avoid being able to double dip. But when you look here, win with no tanks in your squad, win with Omega and Batcher. Well, they're not tanks, so you could put them in a team with, say, Galactic Legends Ray, and you're going to be able to get that done pretty easily. Win with a full squad of pirates, win with no tanks in your squad. There's plenty of pirate teams you can create without tanks, so there's double dipping ability there. You know, scrolling down, there was another one I saw that I was like, okay, this, you know, Sector 5, not as much double dipping going on, you know, defeating enemies with Gungans, defeating with droids, not a lot you can do there. But if you go up here to win with no attackers and win with Forlom and Zuckuss. So the thing here is winning with Forlom and Zuckuss. That sounds like, okay, all right, that's tough, but, you know, win with no attackers. If you use a character like Jabba, if you flip over to the game here and go to Jabba the Hutt, he's a support unit, right? And if you go to Bounty Hunters, Forlom is support and Zuckuss is a tank. So if you ran like Kersantin and, say, Cad Bane, you now have a team with no attackers. So able to double dip. That has been a big complaint of mine with Conquest at times, and that ability to be able to double dip with some of those teams is going to really pay off in my opinion. So very happy about that. I'm pleased with those changes. We also finally got the kit for Maul Hate Fueled. So Journey isn't available yet, but it is, his kit is in the game. We did get the full kit reveal. The biggest thing that I saw is that there is the enemies defeated by, and this is just the regular unique. This isn't even an Omicron. Enemies defeated by dark side allies can't be revived. That was the one thing with this team that I wasn't as convinced on with the Stranger, was there wasn't a prevention of revives. Now that Maul has that little tidbit in there to say, hey, I'm going to prevent revives, I'm really excited. And the fact it's not tied to an Omicron is even better in my opinion. That way you can use this team, whether it's in TB, GAC, Territory Wars, and you're able to stop revives from happening. Because revives are becoming a bigger and bigger part of the game. Not just with this Barris Datacron that's going on, but also with Galactic Legend Hondo, where he can revive his whole team. I'm really very pleased with that change. The next area that I'm really looking at from an update perspective was Forlom going farmable. They are on a very easy dark side node, so that's awesome. We got Zuckuss farmable to a fleet node. Again, you know, fine, not too crazy, nothing crazy going on there. We also got the B-Wing with Drogon farmable, and that is on the Cantina node with Captain Drogon himself. I'm not gonna lie, I'm debating still just buying the B-Wing shards with the episode shipment currency, because it's gonna be a while to get this thing to 7 stars. There's a lot of shards I need left of it, and if I can do this and it saves me, you know, from having to spend as much time in the Cantina, we may be pulling that off, because that's just in my opinion, how much I need signal data. As much I do want to get this to 7 star because I think it's a good ship. It has really done a lot, but I think trying to anything I can save myself in the Cantina for signal data will be a very, very big deal. So a lot of stuff kind of farmable. Really good news on the Satele. Maul Hate Fueled coming soon. And speaking of Maul Hate Filled coming soon there, one of the things we saw in the data mines was a little bit of his event. And so I want to open this up a bit here. And what we're going to do is switch over to the screen capture again. Let's go here. There we go. All right. So this is a video from the data mine. And where I want to pause is down here. So in the first level of Maul, you're getting that looks like an Erodium or Kyber Lightspeed token. So you're getting a Lightspeed token for completing this event, which is huge. That is actually, that looked like 2. It's not just 1. There's 2 Lightspeed tokens down there. So that's 2 Lightspeed tokens for completing the tier 1 of that event. That is awesome. Looks like there is 3 in the tier 2 event. So now you're getting 3 of them in the tier 2 of the event. And again, yeah, relic 6. So you're gonna get, you know, if you can get to tier 2, that is 5 relic 6 characters in your account. In the next tier, it's looks like it's era currency, which I gotta say I'm a big fan of that. Recognizing that a lot of the players who probably are gonna get to this tier already have, you know, a lot of characters at relics where lightspeed tokens aren't as impactful. Throwing that, and not era currency, the episode currency where you can earn relic 10 stuff, I do think that's a solid change. And then finally at the final tier, you get the full unlock. So that's, I think, really, really cool stuff to see. Very happy about that because for someone who is going to be able to unlock Maul at tier 2, because I have the era units at level 55, 5-star, I will be able to get 5 Kyber Lightspeed tokens, which, you know, I'm not going to lie, those are going to come in handy. With 5 of those, I mean, I might just throw, I think that might be mission. You know, missions, that's going to be mission, and Joe Lee are getting, you know, those right away. Just because, you know, for me, I'm looking at that as characters that I would like to have at higher relics, characters that I would like to, you know, boost up that I feel I'm going to need in the coming months. So getting them there. And then I've got 3 other ones that, you know, we'll kind of take a look at and see where I think they make the most sense for obviously an account like mine. You know, I could see myself probably throwing one on like Scarif Rebel Pathfinder for, you know, just an extra character, maybe looking at even Shore Trooper as another potential candidate for that. I think Shore Trooper would be another solid one that I'm looking, because again, I don't want to spend these on characters that we're going to be getting tokens for. I'm going to be getting a Mandalorian token, so I don't want to spend it on the armor. I'm going to be getting tokens for Queel and IG-11, and I'm thinking of these tokens more than just the signal data. I am thinking of these tokens with the Gear 13 gear in mind. So that's kind of where my decision is coming from, is looking at that Gear 13 gear. If I can save myself having to buy those things to focus on relic materials, I'll feel pretty good about that. So I am, again, there's a lot to kind of look into there, but I am excited for that. It is an area that I'm like, you know what, this could be a really good purchase for me, you know, use for me going forward. So very excited to get those rewards again in the Maul event coming soon. Just a few other things that we kind of got in this update. There's going to be a bunch of additive drops coming. If we go back to the data mine here and scroll up a bit, where am I at? Scroll up a bit. There's going to be additive drops on the 9th, 10th, and 11th. If you have the Dark Side clones, you're going to be able to either get Oppo, CX2, Disguised Clone Trooper, and Scorch, or you'll be, and then if you have them already, Kyratex, Zetas, and Flawed Signal Data. Again, the drop rates on this stuff is never crazy, but listen, it's free drops. The more often that they do stuff like this, the more I'm excited about, right? I think that's always great. They're also going to be giving, like, I didn't understand this one. Select PV, you know, you'll have bonus drops. You get 9th Sister shards, 7th Sister, and 5th Brother. If you know, again, if you have, take advantage of these. If you have 330 shards of the featured character or have them at 7, you will not receive any additional rewards for those battles. So, like, I don't know why they're doing this, and especially because we're getting Lightspeed tokens for the Inquisitors, so I don't know what the purpose of this shards is. This did feel a little bit weird to me, where I'm like, you're giving us these journey quests, you know, we're gonna get Lightspeed tokens for them anyway. Why are you giving out extra shards? Like, I just didn't quite, I'm not quite fathoming that one. You know, always happy to get extra shards, and it's the same thing here. Like, they're giving out extra shards of these things and an Inquisitorious Lightspeed token, but we're not getting, like, I just don't understand that we're getting tokens for all of them anyway, so why are we getting extra shards? It just didn't make sense to me. But, you know, bonus drops of the clones looks really, really solid. Inquisitor Barris kit reveals, bunch of packs to kind of look at there. And then for the episode track, we're getting Gungan Lightspeed tokens. Yeah, I think the Gungan token, I have to say, when I look at that for next month, Obviously, myself, I'm not going to benefit from that, but I think those are pretty solid to be able to do. You think that's half of the Gungans you need for Jar Jar. So you're going to be able to get, 2 of those guys to relics. At that point, if you have, think you could potentially get some other tokens to use them on Gungans, and then you're basically at Jar Jar unlock. And remember, that was one of the teams I said for 2025 or for 2026 that you're going to want to have. They're giving you 2 Gungans. If you buy the episode pass, you're going to get 2. Otherwise, you'll just get 1. But you're going to get all those tokens from the Maul event. Maybe that's an opportunity to try to just quickly unlock Jar Jar for a character in a team that's very, very good and has a lot of solid uses. So there is something to think about there for players depending on where you are with Maul. Finally, Datacrons. Myself, I'm sure many others of you, I'm very nervous for this purple set to disappear. This is Kylo, this is Hondo for me, and the bigger thing is I don't have as many of these Pillars of War Datacrons as other players in my GP range. I'm very nervous about that. And the big reason you're nervous is because of how accessible the rerolls for these materials, for these Datacrons were. Like, that's bad news bears. So kind of a very, very concerned for myself around how this will impact me. And when I look ahead to the next Datacron set, I think one thing a couple of us have noticed so far is that there's no focus Datacrons, which I don't know if that's going to change or not. But the stats are, again, their stats have been pretty just consistent with like health, protection, crit damage, a few changes here and there, but still a lot of overlap to the current set that we have. In terms of the factions, we go back to the standard stuff. Nothing, I'm going to say like nothing crazy on the level 3 for either faction. I say nothing crazy, no 15 and 15. Couple of good ones for the light side that you could potentially use. Dark side, not a crazy amount of like, oh my gosh, I'd argue you either want the, 2 buffs or inflicting debuffs and get reduced cooldowns. Those are kind of the ones I'm really looking at there. The factions, you get bounty hunters and droids. None of the faction ones are screaming, oh my goodness, this is broken. Like, there's no super wordy ones here that are, oh my gosh, I don't know what you're gonna do. But in characters, again, a couple of these look pretty solid, but I'm gonna argue nothing like, a couple of them you're like, it's pretty good. And then you get down to Chopper. Whenever a Phoenix ally takes damage, Phoenix allies gain 30% max health stacking and 30% offense for 1 turn. Chopper ignores taunt. Whenever Chopper takes damage while taunting, Chopper recovers 50% protection and all Phoenix allies gain 30% turn meter. I'm not sure what this until the end of 2 turns. I'm not sure what that's supposed to say, if that wording's a little bit weird. Until the end of the 2 turns. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure what that means. Fennec, nothing crazy. C-3PO, nothing crazy. Forlom, nothing crazy. And then we get to, Zuckuss, nothing crazy. And then Hu Yang. All of a sudden, Hu Yang shows up and says, hey, wait a minute. Whenever he uses a special, if Syndulla, Sabine, Ezra are allies, they each gain 40% offense, critical damage, and defense penetration for 2 turns. And they assist. If Ahsoka's in the leader slot, she gains 25% turn meter and offense up for 2 turns. Whenever Hu Yang gains History of the Galaxy, all allies gain 15% critical chance, max 45% stacking, 20% offense stacking, max 60 until the end of battle. Look, it's not the Wordicron, but this is very good. I think a lot of people will be caught off guard by this team because of the amount of offense gains, critical damage that you could be getting with this, particularly on a character like Padawan Sabine Wren, and even Ezra, when he gets, he can hit pretty hard on that ability on his 1 special. That's going to be a Datacron that you really want. This set kind of not that great, which in a way is good because I'm sick and tired of these ridiculous sets. But I also am like, okay, the reason there's nothing really that crazy is because they don't expect a lot of people to wail on it, because this set is just absolutely obscene. So a lot of stuff kind of hitting us all at once. I would really appreciate if Datacrons continued this trend that they're going down with this set. I'd really love if they start to tone back on them a little bit. I think they have kind of lost the plot gotten out of control, and not just with like the stats and stuff like this in this set. That's a whole other issue. I'm referring to just every Datacron set feels like it has a handful of just absolutely broken crons that are impossible to beat unless you have something else. I'm really looking forward to maybe just getting back to, okay, Datacrons are good, but they're not the end of the world. That if you don't have them, you're screwed. No focused is interesting. I'm not sure if that's just a bug, if we're going to get them added, but it does seem like that could be something to kind of pay attention to. If there's no focus crons, that does mean that you're going to have more of the regular levels and potentially get more opportunities to get some of those, you know, the Hu Yang cron. So that's the end of the video, guys. A lot of news yesterday. Let me know your thoughts down below. I love you all. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.